This short video is going to go through how you put your essay into MLA format and also how you create your works cited page. So if you forget anything from what we went through, or if that link about the first page for MLA formatting doesn't make a lot of sense or is hard to follow, this video should be really helpful for you. So what I have here is not a real essay, obviously. I have something standing in the place for my introduction, my first body paragraph, my second body paragraph. I copied over my third body paragraph that I had written as a sample, and then I have a stand-in for my conclusion down here. So let's say this is how you wrote it at the beginning. If you didn't, then you might be a couple steps ahead. But let's just say you didn't do any formatting at all. You just wrote these paragraphs completely separately, like what I have on here. The first thing that you need to do is get them so that they're one after the other, and the first line is indented. The indentation should be a half an inch over, which is shown at the top here. But unless you actually change something on Google Drive, that's what it should look like anyway. So there shouldn't be an issue with that. But if there is, you can always change it just by adjusting that. So if I selected everything and then moved it over, my indentation would be different. But you want it to be the default, which is half an inch. Okay. Next, I would select everything. So Control A selects everything, or you could do, I'll never do it this way. You could do select all, so it won't let me do it right now because I already have selected everything. But say I didn't, I could go edit, select all. And then I would make it Times New Roman. It's the font that you need to use, and size 12 is the size that you need. So it should look like this. Keep everything selected because you also need to have everything double spaced. Then you're getting pretty close to where you need to be. The other thing is that your margins should be 1 inch. That's how they are by default once again. But if you have made any adjustments on Google Docs, you need to make sure adjust that back and make sure that it's still 1 inch margins. It should be what it is by default. For your first page in MLA format, you first need your name. So let's just say this is, I don't know, James. Okay, so that would be the student's name. Then you need your teacher's name. So for all of you, you would be putting my name, Mr. Seehafer. Then you need to put the class, so it'd be English 2. And then you need to put the date, but you need to do it in kind of a strange way. So you put the day number first, then you put the month, and then you put the year. Okay, there's no punctuation with it either, no commas, nothing. So this is how you'll format the date on there. Then you'll center it and you'll put a title here. So mine is on sex trafficking in India. So you can do whatever you would like, but you can, for this paper at the very least, just put your general topic as your title. Okay. Don't title it human rights paper or anything like that. Put your specific topic. So sex trafficking in India would be a fine title. Human rights project would not be a very good title. The last thing that you need to do for MLA format is add page numbers. So to add page numbers, you go to Insert, you go to Header and Page Number. It gives you 4 options here. You want the ones that are in the upper right hand corner, which is shown here. This one would be if you have a title page and you don't want the first page to actually be numbered. So you want this one that numbers the first page. Yours may not be this far down, so if it looks like your number is like way at the top of the page, hit enter and give it an extra space, but actually how it was right then was fine. Okay, so that puts my page numbers on here. You can see the next page is page 2, and I think that's all I have. Yeah. You need to also put your last name before it. So the last name of our student was James. It would be James, and then you put a space. And if you look carefully, you'll notice that the font here is not the same as the font anywhere else. So I would highlight this and change it to the same thing, Times New Roman, size 12. One other note that I'll make is that this title is not altered in any way, so I didn't make the font larger, I didn't bold it, I didn't put it in color, I didn't italicize it, I didn't underline it, I just had the exact same font as everything else. That is what you need to do for your title. Okay, so that is it for MLA formatting. Let's go on to how you'll do your Works Cited page. So you'll put your Works Cited page on the very last page of your document. And I've mentioned this in some classes. People often make the mistake of just hitting enter a bunch of times, then they'll center it and they'll start making their Works Cited page here, and your citations will be down here. This is not the wisest way of doing things, because you'll notice if I add to my conclusion here, say I add a couple lines, my Works Cited page now shifted down, and this does not this is not formatted correctly anymore. It has to be right at the top of the page. What's even worse is if you were to, say, delete some text from up above, and your Works Cited page ends up being kind of split between the bottom of this page and the top of the next page. That'd be an even bigger issue. And it's really easy to avoid this, so let's just go through how to do that. So let's get rid of what we have. Instead of hitting enter a bunch of times, I want you either to hit Control Enter, which would enter a page break, or do Insert Break Page Break. And now, if I make my Works Cited page down here, and now if I add anything up here, it's not going to alter the Works Cited page at all. Okay, the only thing that would change it is if I then go on to a new page, it'll shift it down to its own page at the end. Okay, so that is the best way to actually make your Works Cited pages with a page break, so that you don't have to check at the very end, is it still where it's supposed to be before I submit it. Okay, let's go through how to do your citations. I'm going to first show you how to do it manually, then I'll show you the easier way with EasyBib, assuming you have your citations in EasyBib. So I'm just going to use my couple citations here for my note card. So I'm going to copy over this citation, and I'll copy over my other one. Now you need to be careful to alphabetize these, so the very first word of your entry is what you'll alphabetize it based on. So Christoph is earlier in the alphabet than than Townsend, so that's how I would want to format this, is with Christoph coming first and then Townsend coming after. Now I have to do all the same things with formatting as I did before, so I have to make sure that it's black text, that it's Times New Roman 12, which already is, so that's good. I need to make sure that it's still all double spaced. And then the only other thing that I need to do is I need to make a reverse indent. So the first line is going to be all the way over to the left. The lines underneath it for a single entry will be moved over a ½ inch. So I would highlight all of this, and I would play around with the ruler a little bit. So first it's going to bring everything over, but then if I take the top part and move it back, I have this reverse indent where everything from the first line of an entry is all the way over to the left, and everything on subsequent lines is indented over a ½ a line. If you try to do this in a different way, where you use tab with the second line and third line for this entry specifically, the issue is if you would ever alter what you have up here for any reason, you're going to have to redo it. So it's a little bit frustrating to work with, especially if you aren't using EasyBib and you're doing the citations manually. You might change something because you might find information that you didn't know was there. It's just it's a little frustrating to deal with, so I recommend just using the ruler so that it's structured correctly for you. You don't have to worry about using the tab button. Okay, so let's talk about the easier way to do this with EasyBib. So if I go to easybib.com, I want to click on I only want to create citations. So hopefully you did find this already, but if you struggled with this, you do only want to create citations, so you click there. If you scroll down, you're not actually going to be able to find your citation right away. So if you've created citations in the past, they used to be right here. It seems like EasyBib is getting slightly worse every single year, but if you go in and you make a citation, whatever it is, well, let me do this. You will have to possibly watch an ad. I'll stop the video while the ad plays. So I'll click this and then stop the video. So, okay, the video is played now. So if you then scroll down, you'll see your list of citations, and it actually looks like my citations have disappeared now. So eventually, since we don't have accounts anymore, EasyBib will lose your citations. So let's make a very quick citation that we can actually work with. I'll pause the video one more time, and then I'll show you how you'll get this from EasyBib and into your Works Cited page. Okay, so I have now created a citation. If you had gotten in the way that I just showed you where you made a blank citation, you do want to delete that before you work with this page at all. That was not the right button though. You need to click those 3 dots below it. So you click these 3 dots and click delete. When you have all your citations down here, you want to go to Export List and save to Google Docs. If you do anything else, it's probably not going to work correctly. You don't want to just copy and paste or anything like that. You want to first save it to Google Docs. It will show you some ads, and then it'll give you a link to Google Docs. So you click on that link, and it's already done the work for you. So it has your title, which has to be Works Cited. You will never cite it differently than that. Even though on this example there's only one, it's still titled Works Cited. It's already in Times New Roman, size 12 font, already double spaced, so all that work's been done for you. All you would have to do in this case is copy it, go back to your document. So let's say I hadn't done this yet. Again, do a page break, and then copy over your Works Cited page. So then everything is done for you. You'll notice up here on the ruler, they've done the same thing that I showed you to make sure that there's that reverse indent, and everything is set up correctly. Do not change anything from this. So again, do not bold or change this title. Do not change the font from Times New Roman 12. Do not simply put the links down. If you do something and this turns blue, so if that happens, just hit undo or Control Z and it'll get rid of that, so then you'll be fine. You don't really want it blue. I understand why it's happening because it's allowing you just to click on it, but when people actually would read your document, they wouldn't be seeing your Works Cited page with the hyperlink there. So you don't want the link actually showing up, and you don't want it blue. You want the same font as everything else. Okay. If there are other questions that you have while you're working on MLA formatting or on your Works Cited page, let me know, but this should be a pretty thorough overview of what you need to do. If you do all of this with your paper, you will get full points for both those sections of the rubric. So please be careful and follow these guides. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.